Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Data Standard Audio Experience. My name is Catherine Tao, and today on our show we have Venkat Krishnamurthy, the Chief Technology Officer from Hamilton Insurance Group. And today we're going to be speaking about data-driven decisions. So, welcome to the show, Venkat. I'm so excited to speak with you and learn more about your experiences.
Hi, Catherine. It's really a pleasure to join you on the show and reach the audience. My name is Venkat Krishnamurthy, and I'm the group CTO here at Hamilton. I've been with the firm for insurance industry for 2 years, largely worked in financial industry as well as did a brief stint in educational industry. So I've had quite a broad experience working on multiple industries. So in terms of data, there is, financial industry uses a lot of data to kind of make decisions. They've done that for a long time, but the fundamental research aspects are significantly changing. We can talk about that. Education is also transforming with regards to how to use data to enhance the education experience. And insurance is actually a very old industry, but it's going through a lot of transformation on how to use data to make decisions. I can talk about insurance in particular because I'm currently employed in that industry. It's very exciting to see the type of changes which is happening within insurance.
Definitely. And it's great that you had a broad experiences with different aspects of how data is being used. Like you had said, I think you had said the academic setting as well as the insurance setting. So a lot of different places that you had. So that's great that you're able to kind of figure out the path that you want to go to with data. And so we all know that data and data science, it's a newer field. It's emerging. A lot of companies are trying to utilize it better, be able to implement AI within their companies to make better decisions, more data-driven decisions. And so it's similar to, in comparison to how computer science was starting off back then. I know that my dad had actually gone into computer science when it was a very newer field, and it's almost equivalent to what data science is today, where everyone is trying to get that data science foundation at the university level to work in the industry now. And so what are some similarities that you see or differences between how computer science was emerging in comparison to data science today?
That's a great question. So this was like several years ago, so it's a long time ago. But when the computer industry started, right, there was like really two things you have to decide as a student: whether you want to work in software or do you want to work in hardware, right? I mean, hardware was the thing to do back then, and software was just a very young field. I'm talking 25 plus years ago, right? So you make choices, and the reason I'm talking about this particular topic is, as a student, if you're coming into this field, you're going to make choices, and those choices will influence your career. So I made choice to be a software engineer, and that was still a very young career. It was not a very established field at that point. So you are learning every step, every day. That's the most exciting part of my career, where I've learned, like every week you would come back and say, I've learned something new, right? So it never ends. It's not like you finished your college degree and you could say, look, I've learned everything, I'm going to do some job. So you're constantly learning. So that was a really, very, I would say, dynamic part of the whole field, software. And the important thing which happened in that transition was the world changed, right? The more productivity came online, we had more people communicating with each other. Like if you look at the computer revolution and what has happened in the last 25 plus years, it's how people across the planet can communicate information very quickly, right? So if you look at that same parallel and say, look, what is happening in data and data science, data is a new, oil. Everybody, says that as a good example. But what is data going to enable us to do is basically, if you look at the basic computer, what is enabled is really communication. I talked about communication and information sharing. But the next step in that evolution is insight sharing. Like, how do you share your insights, right, with data so you can convince somebody? So when you communicate with somebody in a business setting, you're always trying to convince to your point of view or work with somebody to get that point across. But what is going to happen, the next wave of the revolution with data and data science is, how do you do that? How do you share insights with supporting data? So if the last 25 years was fast in terms of computers and transformation of people and economy, I would say the next 10, 15 years is going to be that the pace of change is going to significantly accelerate with the availability of insights, which are built on top of data. So there is plenty of opportunity for students who are just coming into the industry and who are looking at this and saying, well, this very young, nobody's defined a career. I'm just trying to draw a parallel of that's exactly how it was for software. I see even more an exciting direction for data, right? Where you're going to, as a student, you're going to enable a lot of change in a very short time period with broad set of technology, which is going to enable the productivity which we never had, right? So I think it's really an exciting time to be in the data and data science field if you're a student aspiring to especially get into this field.
Yeah, definitely. And it's a field that's always changing since it's technology. The things are always changing. Like you had mentioned, every day is something you're learning something new every day. That's what makes it fun. It makes it interesting. You're not doing the same thing every single day. You have new challenges to work on, new projects to work on. So definitely, it's a fun field to be in for sure.
100%.
Yeah. And I wanted to kind of get your opinion on this now. So how is data transforming the world right now and today?
Yeah, so this is something I alluded to in my past answer too, which is, historically, the way information was passed around, was not supported as heavily by data. Like if you look at the corporate presentations, you always have data, but the common man did not have access. For example, the common, let's say job would not have access to the level of data a sophisticated corporate executive would have, right? So that is what is going to change, where the access to information, right, changes human perspectives, and that access to information and data is going to be commoditized, right? So if you want to make it, let's take the weather, right? If you want to forecast, let's say you want to see the impact of the weather on a particular area, you have a lot of data about that area more than ever. Satellite data, property data, all of that is available, largely free, and some you buy commercially. And you could bring that and deliver a new insight, which is meaningful, right? So that is really what I'm saying is that's what is going to help us kind of take the next step in change and information revolution.
Definitely. Great insight with everything you had just mentioned. Specifically, you are working in the insurance space and you're working on a lot of different insurance projects to optimize certain things, to get that business goal. And so how are you handling the transformation of big data?
Yeah, so insurance is one of the oldest industries, I would say, in the capital markets. It's a very people-driven industry, meaning the historic Gus has been there a long time. It's extremely relationship-driven. But that said, the industry is changing to be more digital, right? So you see digitization everywhere and interactions being more digital, either be the customer or insurance is a very complex ecosystem of multiple people participating to deliver a business value. So like brokers and agents and insurers. So all of these people have to change, right, to kind of bring that. So that's the opportunity in the industry. How do you change digitally, right? And in terms of actually insurance as a product itself, if you think about what insurance as a product does, somebody's evaluating the risk of insuring a particular, let's say you're buying a car, they want to make sure that the person they're insuring, right, is actually not going to cause an accident, but there's an element of risk they can take because they want to insure you, right? So they're taking a premium. So they have to evaluate what they call a risk of that particular insurance product and give you a premium price. So historically, that was done using, different types of data, but now the industry is changing so that they can actually get more real-time data. For instance, if you take Tesla and car insurance, you can get real-time telemetry of the Tesla car. So how fast do you drive? Are you a rash driver? So these factors go into how they price your product. So if you're a rash driver, if you get into many accidents, obviously that your insurance premium goes up. We experience all of that, even today. But that data, was based on historical data. For example, how many tickets you got, right? Rather than actually getting real-time data about how fast you drive the car on a daily basis and how risky of a driver you are. So the industry is changing more from historical based data pricing to more real-time based data pricing. And that is really where there is going to be a huge amount of opportunity in the coming years for data professionals to join the insurance industry and bring this element of change. So there are two aspects to it. One is the digitization element, where how do you digitize the different things which happen in the insurance industry through AI and data, right? So there are a lot of workflows where you can bring data and AI into it. The second aspect is really to price the insurance product. How do you utilize traditionally using historical data, but how do you utilize more real-time, forward-looking data to predict, how a customer, would behave, right? So that we could say to use that factor into the pricing.
Definitely. And it's so interesting to see how data science applications could be made in the insurance space, because there's a lot of different projects and insight to be made in the insurance industry for sure. And so what are some things that you think a person would need to do in order to progress into the data science space or the data space in general?
Yeah, it's a fantastic question. I think as I look back at how I came in the career, I want to give some couple of insights. Which span different parts of my career. The first is really when you start clearly you don't have the experience, right? So you want to make sure you get hired. So the first thing you have to do is the foundation, which is really mathematics, analytics, right? So because if you're talking about data science, there are two aspects to data science. One is how do you collect the data? So you need typically software data engineering skills. Right? So either you're passionate about that and you have software engineering skills, you can go there and learn that as a foundational skill. Or the second aspect is you're very good with data analysis. You could combine lots of data and derive insights either through just plain analysis or visualization, right? So those I would say are the foundational skills. The next step, you're going to go learn on the job. There is nobody with 30 years of experience with data science, right? Because the industry itself is very new. So I think the newcomers, the younger people would have to be confident about their capabilities, right? That they can learn and actually be ambitious about even leading projects, right? So that's really the opportunity which exists for a young data professional to come into the industry, build the foundational skills, then be ambitious about what they can deliver to a particular business or particular technical problem which somebody's trying to solve. And you've seen lots of examples in the industry of how this has transpired, right? I'm not giving a very unique example. So I really think, with more confidence, you can actually deliver, you can actually kind of really participate in this evolution, just like we participated in the software industry and lots of things have happened. I really think this is like the golden age of data science. And people who are coming in will have that opportunity. The other aspect other points I would point out is if you think about different stages of a career, you start out, right? You want to really prove yourself and then, never stop in terms of learning, right? And pushing yourself. That is a very important aspect where you never stop learning. It could be learning about data. It could be learning about new industries, new, capabilities. So keep your passion alive. I would say those are the most important things about, how you can come in the industry and be ambitious about doing things which are bigger and better than you ever thought possible. It's actually possible because opportunities exist.
Definitely. And I think you brought up a really good point of people needing to know, having a foundation of skills in order to go into the data field. And I wanted to ask you this. So I've had a lot of different guests come onto the podcast. Some have said, in order to get into the data field, some have said it's better to be more well-rounded, know the data technical side, the business side, in your case, also the insurance side of everything, and be well-rounded, know everything. And then other people are saying, know the technical side, but have one thing that you're really good at. So whether that be insurance or healthcare industry or banking, anything like that. What do you think is the better route, to be more well-rounded, know a little bit of everything, or be that expert within a specific domain?
Well, really, this is really a topic of being a generalist, or if you want to be a deep domain expert. It's really a question of personal choice. I personally have been a generalist, right? That's why I've been able to work on multiple industries. That kind of problem set attracts me. These are, you're never bored with something, more particular industry. So it really depends on the personality, I would say. And you shouldn't be shy. You shouldn't say, look, I'm a generalist. I don't know everything about a particular topic. Or you shouldn't say, I'm a very deep domain expert. I've stayed in healthcare for 30 years, because that's really fine. I mean, that's really totally different things, different sets of challenges you're going to face. So I really think it's really a question of personality and what they want. But in both skill sets, right? I mean, both skill sets, I would say there is a foundation you start with. It's common, right? When you go into more generalist roles, you don't have that deep domain knowledge. You don't need to, because you can hire more people who could be those deep domain experts, but you have the broader understanding. It's really a different skill set. Having been a leader in many organizations, I can tell you that as a generalist, you really have to have a broad stroke understanding and have the ability to drill down as required. But you don't, if you drill down too much, then you won't be able to be a generalist and be a manager or leader, right? So you have to find that balance. And different people, personalities, drive towards, just by nature, you just go into a particular area, whether you want to be in this area where you love doing this, you want to understand every aspect of that domain. Let's say healthcare is a very complex domain, or insurance, right? Insurance is also kind of, I would say, generalist field, because you insure everything. You can insure cars, you can insure life insurance, you can insure boats, you can insure satellites, right? So it's actually, there's a broad area of, I would say, insurance kind of attracts more of a generalist. People who try to be domain experts go into a particular area. Let's say I'm an expert in satellites. I go and insure, satellite. That's my career. So I'm just giving one example of kind of a specialist versus generalist, and it's absolutely fine.
Yeah, great insight. Yeah, I was just curious your opinion on that, since there's rather mixed opinions on this specific concept. So great that I was able to get your insight, though. And I want to say thank you so much, Venkat, for joining us today. So great to speak with you. We at the Data Standard, we're trying to build a community of data enthusiasts and data thought leaders so that everybody can just speak to each other and collaborate and connect. And so what is something we can do for you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm on LinkedIn, so of course, I connect with a lot of people, especially anybody who needs help on growing their career. They want insight. I'm happy to connect and help in any way I can.
Yeah, absolutely. And where can everyone find you online?
LinkedIn would be a good place to find me there. Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. And to our audience, for more information on the Data Standard, you can find us at www.datastandard.io, as well as our YouTube channel and our LinkedIn page. And this episode is once again sponsored by Pandio. They're the hot new data science startup in San Diego. They're helping other companies be more data-driven with their Apache Pulsar messaging system. So learn more about their work at pandio.com. And thank you so much, Venkat, for joining us. It was such a pleasure to have you on the show.
Thank you, Catherine. Nice to talk to you.